Sarah Mitchell had learned long ago that life rarely went according to plan. At 58, she'd raised 3 children, weathered a difficult divorce, and built a modest but meaningful career as a librarian. Now standing in the bustling arrivals area of Chicago O'Hare, she felt both nervous and hopeful about visiting her daughter in Seattle. The black suitcase came around the carousel, and Sarah grabbed it without hesitation. Same brand, same size as hers. She was already imagining the cup of tea she'd have at her daughter's apartment when she noticed the leather tag. Her heart sank. The initials weren't hers. "Oh, no," she whispered, stopping mid-stride. Before she could turn back, a calm voice spoke behind her. "Excuse me, I believe we might have each other's luggage." Sarah turned to find a man in his early 60s, distinguished in a dark suit, with kind gray eyes that crinkled at the corners. Despite his expensive appearance, his smile was warm and understanding. "I'm so sorry," Sarah said, feeling her cheeks flush. "I wasn't paying attention. It's been a long day." "No harm done," he assured her, his voice gentle. "I'm James Harrison, and honestly, I'm relieved it was an honest mistake. That suitcase contains some rather important documents." "Sarah Mitchell," she replied, switching bags with him. "I promise I didn't peek," James chuckled softly. "I didn't think you had." He paused, studying her face. "You look a bit overwhelmed. First time in Chicago?" "Just passing through to Seattle," Sarah explained. "My daughter just had her first baby. I'm going to meet my grandson." Something in James's expression softened even more. "How wonderful. Congratulations, grandmother." He glanced at his watch, then back at her. "I hope you don't think this forward, but I have 3 hours before my next flight. Would you care to join me for coffee? The airport can feel lonely, and I'd enjoy the company." Sarah hesitated. She'd been taught not to trust strangers. But something in James's demeanor reminded her of her late father, that quiet dignity, that genuine kindness. "I'd like that," she heard herself say. They found a quiet cafe overlooking the runways. James ordered coffee for himself and chamomile tea for Sarah when she mentioned she was trying to calm her nerves about meeting her grandson. "Tell me about your family," James said, settling into his chair with the ease of someone comfortable with silence and conversation alike. Sarah found herself opening up. She talked about her children, about the years she'd spent reading stories to countless kids at the library, about how she'd worried she wouldn't be a good grandmother because she'd made so many mistakes as a mother. "You know what I've learned?" James said quietly, stirring his coffee with slow, deliberate movements. "The people who worry about being good enough usually are. It's the ones who never question themselves you have to watch out for." "That's kind of you to say," Sarah replied. "What about you? Do you have grandchildren?" A shadow passed over James's face. "I do. 2 granddaughters, 8 and 10. But I don't see them as much as I'd like." He paused, looking out at the planes taking off. "I spent 30 years building a company, Sarah. Harrison Technologies. You might have heard of it." Sarah shook her head apologetically. James smiled. "That's refreshing, actually. Anyway, I was so focused on success that I missed my own children growing up. My son. We barely speak. My daughter tries to maintain a relationship, but there's distance there. I have all the money in the world, but I can't buy back those bedtime stories I never read, those soccer games I missed." The honesty in his voice touched something deep in Sarah's heart. "It's never too late," she said softly. "My ex-husband started coming around more after the divorce. We'll never be married again, but he's become a better grandfather than he was a father. People can change if they want to." "Do you really believe that?" James asked, his eyes searching hers. "I have to," Sarah said. "Otherwise, what's the point of any of it?" They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching travelers rush past with their own stories, their own destinations. "You said you work at a library," James said eventually. "Past tense or present?" "Present, though I'm thinking about retirement," Sarah admitted. "I'm not sure what I'd do with myself, though. Those books and those children have been my life." James leaned forward slightly. "May I tell you something? I just sold my company last month. After 35 years, I walked away. Everyone thought I was crazy. But you know what I'm doing now?" "What?" "I'm going to Montana," he said. And for the first time, she saw real joy in his face. "I bought a small ranch. Nothing fancy. I'm going to learn how to be still. How to watch sunsets without checking my phone. Maybe write down some of the lessons I've learned so I can share them with my granddaughters someday. That sounds beautiful, Sarah said, meaning it. The point is, James continued, retirement isn't an ending. It's just a different kind of beginning. You've spent decades giving to others. Maybe it's time to give something to yourself. Sarah felt tears prick her eyes. She'd been so anxious about getting older, about being useful, about whether she still mattered. This stranger, this successful businessman, was giving her permission to just be. Thank you, she whispered. I needed to hear that. James reached across the table and patted her hand in a fatherly way. We all need to hear it sometimes. I'm paying for a therapist to tell me the same things. They both laughed, and it felt good, real and uncomplicated. As their time together drew to a close, James pulled out his wallet and handed Sarah his card. This has my personal number on it. I'm serious. If you ever need anything, or if you just want to talk about the adventures of grandparenting, I'd be honored to hear from you. Sarah took the card, reading it carefully. You're giving your personal number to someone who stole your luggage? You didn't steal it. You took it by mistake. There's a world of difference. James stood, gathering his things. Besides, I believe in divine appointments. Maybe we were supposed to mix up those suitcases. Maybe you needed to hear that you matter. And maybe I needed to remember what real kindness looks like. At the gate, before boarding their separate flights, they hugged like old friends. Give that grandson a kiss from me, James said. And remember, you're exactly the grandmother he needs. 3 weeks later, back home, Sarah received a package. Inside was a beautiful children's book about a grandmother and her adventures with her grandson. The inscription read up for Sarah, who reminded me what's truly valuable. May you and your grandson create 1,000 memories together. Your friend James. Sarah smiled, tears streaming down her face. She'd gone to the airport that day carrying only clothes and anxiety. She'd left with something far more precious, a reminder that it's never too late for connection, for kindness, for new beginnings. She picked up her phone and called her daughter. Honey, I've been thinking. I'd like to come visit again next month. And this time, I'd like to stay a little longer. Sometimes the wrong luggage leads us to exactly the right place.